Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another great edition of Racers News Network Live. We got some really cool stuff to talk about tonight with our I'm gonna call him the new NHRA Division One historian. He's got some really cool stuff that he just showed me that we're gonna dive into in just a few minutes. But he will not be joining us tonight. As you all know, he is a school teacher, and they're getting to the end of the school year. So he's wrapping up stuff. He's got senior events tonight. I mean, it's possible he may pop on, but more than likely he will not be joining us. But we do have joining us, like I said, your new title, Billy, by me, is NHRA Division One Maple Grove historian. How are you, buddy?
Good. How are you doing, Chris? Long time no see. Glad to be on. Thank you for having me on.
Awesome. Yeah, it's been a while. I think the last time we talked, I was actually giving you an award, I believe.
Yeah. When I won the Track Employee of the Year for the PD Awards, and then before that, I did a Q&A session with Taylor and Vince Nobile. If they're
Yep.
listening, I hope to see you guys in Victory Lane this weekend. Even if you guys want to do a round two Q&A, Vince and Taylor, if you're listening, I'm more than willing to come on and give you another game. Maybe we can do another version of the newlywed game or match game like they did back in the day.
Oh, you know what? Actually, that would be kind of cool because we kind of did that with John and Jackie,
Yeah.
and then we did the because it was when we had Vince on that time. It was the first time that we ever had the chance to talk to him, and it was the we played the old school version of getting to know you, Julie Andrews,
Yep.
and had a lot of fun with that show. They're an entertaining couple, and they're two people that I absolutely enjoy having a conversation with.
Mhm.
Now, when we were getting ready to come on, you showed me something that is to your right. And if you wouldn't mind, why don't you show that to everybody?
Well, as you may or may not know, for the ones that follow me on my social media pages, not only do I like drag racing, but I like all forms of motorsports. And young people like me seem not to be interested in the rich history of racing. Most people may think that drag racing started at Santa Ana back in the early 50s. It didn't. Drag racing's been going on for over 130 years. Unfortunately, a lot of racing history has been lost, and a lot of racers have either tossed a lot of racers ended up tossing a lot of their memorabilia and all the stuff that they collected over the years. A lot of tracks have done that as well because they think after so many years people aren't interested in it. But it was actually a really good marketing for racing collectibles, especially drag racing. A good friend of mine, who I consider to be like a second father to me, Mike Goya, I was introduced to him by my dad at the old York US 30 Dragway reunion in 2007, back when it was at the York Fairgrounds. That was a great reunion that unfortunately is no longer in existence, and me and him hit it off right away.
Rose up again, Billy. Give you a
You
sec,
still,
see if you come back. There you are.
do you need me to redo all that again?
Nope, nope. Continue on, my friend.
All right, take two or take. No, I'm never going to go to Hollywood, so I'm going to do this. Hey, if the people from the Guinness Book of World Records is listening, let's keep track of how many times we have to do a take. So right now, on take two. As I was saying, Mike Goya is a really good friend of mine. He does a lot of vintage racing memorabilia. I've been lucky enough to capture, actually purchase a lot of the good stuff. If you really want museum quality stuff in your collection, he's the guy that you should contact. One of the things I have is a Wally from the Grand Nationals. I was handed to Dick LaHaye. I was able to get this because the LaHaye's were getting rid of some stuff. Mike is, if you want to get stuff from Mike for some of the pro drivers, he specializes in is the sole agent for a lot of them. Um, he is the one that you have to go to. You can't go to the drivers. You have to go to Mike if they're getting rid of stuff. This Wally was given to Dick LaHaye when he won the '87 Grand Nationals up in Canada. For those of the old timers out there, you remember NHRA had a national event up in Canada. Unfortunately, that is no longer in existence due to politics, but we won't go into that because I don't like getting into politics.
Molson Le Grand National.
Yeah, Molson Grand National, 19,
Yep.
1992 was the last year. Mel, when you think of the '87 event, the first thing that's going to come to people's mind is that was the event where John Force finally broke through to break through his first NHRA national event win. For those of you that maybe think, oh, where can I go and buy stuff if Mike doesn't have stuff? If you go on eBay and you see a Wally that's being listed from some drivers, say for example, Billy Kleinsphen has a Wally from his 20-something national event win at the Maple Grove national event, the Keystones. Unfortunately, a lot of the Wallies that you see on the internet are not the actual Wallies that were handed to the driver. Sponsors and crew members, a lot of them are given the option once they win a national event that they can either um, purchase a copy or the driver's the only one that can give permission to give out a Wally. And unfortunately, a lot of the Wallies that you see on the internet is not the correct Wally. The one that really matters is the ones that are handed to by the drivers. And they're not going to get rid of the stuff unless they know somebody that deals in that stuff and is highly respected. And Mike Goyer is the one person that I strongly suggest contacting everybody if you want to get some really, really great drag racing history. Like I said, unfortunately, a lot of racing history has, and I know this is going to break your heart when I tell you this, Chris. Unfortunately, get ready to get the heart defibrillator out because it breaks my heart too.
Not
Uh,
again.
um, Unfortunately, a lot of racing history ends up in a place where we take a lot of our stuff each week. A lot of this ends up in landfills. Um,
Oh,
so yeah, in all my conversations I've had with Mike, he said the same thing. I'm like, because they think stuff that's stored in a box in an attic for so many years, racers either kept them on purpose or they got rid of them all. And usually, a lot of the drivers in our sport got rid of their stuff because they thought there was no value in them. Some stuff may have been donated to a museum, but a lot of times, drivers will, for those that have held on to stuff, um, usually they will, like I said, they only deal with certain individuals that know how to deal with that stuff, and Mike's the guy. For those of you that are curious on who Mike has dealt with over the years, he's the sole agent right now for Don the Snake Padome, Leon, Tom McEwen, Linda Vaughn, Jungle Pam. Some basically a lot of the who's who of the sport. A lot of racers when they want to get rid of stuff because Mike has such a reputation. He's so well known in drag racing. A lot of people go to him for he's definitely the go-to guy if you really, really want hard to find a drag racing memorabilia. And if you think people think, oh, does he do just trophies? He does everything. If you want photos, racing gear, old drag racing trophies from tracks that are no longer in existence, event programs, posters, anything real hard to find here. He even does
well,
he does doesn't strictly do drag racing. He also does sorry about that. My phone just
that's
dropped.
all right.
All right, so there's a take three. So we're up to three now. Hopefully we don't go to four, Chris, because anything after bad's three. You know they say third time's the charm, so hopefully. So as I was saying with Mike, he does a lot of hot rod stuff as well. He finds a lot of the really, really hard to find car club jackets, and Mike's the guy to go to. And I highly recommend if any he does his stuff is pricey for those of you that are concerned about what the price may be. But trust me, I've given him spent more money than I'm more than willing, not willing to admit publicly. But I do have a pretty impressive collection, courtesy of Mike Goyer, and I proud to not only call him a friend but a second father to me.
Excuse me. But you get what you pay for 99% of the time
Oh,
when you're paying top dollar.
absolutely. Everything that you get from him is pretty much, if you want to open a museum or you want to do an exhibit on a specific topic of drag racing, everything that you're going to get from him is museum quality.
Very cool. Now, I know you have a lot of trophies, programs, and whatnot. What is, if you don't mind saying it, what is probably the one thing that you have that you're the most proud of owning now?
The most thing that I'm proud of owning, I would have to. That's a good question. I would probably have to say, back in the day, back in 2012, when Kenny Bernstein retired, not retired, but when he retired, from being a team owner at the end of 2011, NHRA actually put, on their website back in the day, posted a thing saying that they were going to do an auction where they were going to auction off a lot of the stuff that he had from his personal collection. That included some of the funny car bodies that he raced from like '84, the infamous Batmobile, some of the championship panels from the Top Fuel Championships in '96 and 2001. He also had some of Brandon's stuff as well. They decided in 2012, as part of the 20th anniversary of the 300-mile-per-hour pass in Gainesville, when they did the special celebration of him going up the return road in the car that set 300, along with the
Yeah.
race. Daryl Gwynn, as everybody knows, Daryl Gwynn, what a great heart he has. If there's anybody out there that is listening that is on the Arthur Ashe voting panel for the ESPY Awards, Daryl Gwynn and Shirley Muldowney definitely deserve that for what they've gone through to get the respect that they deserve. Daryl Gwynn deserves it, and so does Shirley. So back to that Gainesville in 2012, as part of the celebration, Kenny Bernstein decided to donate what was going to be auctioned off. He donated it to the Dale Gwynn Foundation, and then they went through and did an online catalog, and all the money that was raised through the proceeds of all the stuff that Kenny Bernstein had ended up going to the Daryl Gwynn Foundation. And I was able to get a lot of the Maple Grove stuff that Kenny Bernstein was given throughout his career. That's most of those were one-off deals. So anything, regardless of what you collect, it can be art or antiques or whatever you collect, sports memorabilia. If you have a one-of-one piece, that's something that you should cherish and you should never get rid of. A lot of people like you and me, or for example, that may not be serious. My biggest fear is that, like, say, for example, if you want to get rid of something, donate it to a museum or donate it to a private collection that's going to take care of this. Because my biggest fear is a lot of racing history, if people deal with it and it gets sold and it ends up going in the wrong hands, it's going to be gone forever and end up in a landfill, unfortunately. So, yeah, a lot of the Kenny Bernstein stuff I have from Maple Grove, those are some really personable one-on-one stuff that I really like. Another thing I have is I have one of Mike Dunn's driving suits from his late funny car days from the late 80s to the 90s. That's another good thing I'm proud of. But mainly out of all the stuff, that may be material stuff. But the one thing that I'm forever grateful was my dad introducing me to Mike. With me and him hitting it off right away, I didn't think much when I hit it off with him. But every year for the York reunion, I would always go up to him. We would go for people think we would go for the show and to see all the cars, but we only went there to see Mike. Mike, if you happen to be listening, I know me and you are really good friends, and in a couple years we'll be celebrating 20 years of friendship. So I hope to continue this friendship forever, Mike, if you're listening.
That's awesome. That is very cool. Now, obviously, you're an employee at Maple Grove. Do you make sure, like every year when you're at the national event, that you get a program or something to kind of squirrel away for that year's event?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Prior to 2018, the Winston the Auto Club Finals in Pomona, California, 27 from the first national event, which was called the Nationals in 1955 in Great Bend, Kansas, up till the finals of the 2017 season. NHRA would do a separate event program that would have all the go-to things, all the previous winners and stuff from all the previous national events held at that specific venue. So, say if you have one from the U.S. Nationals, you would have all the past winners and stuff from all the past U.S. Nationals and great photos, along with the entry lists. In 2018, they decided not to do an individual event program, and they decided to combine it into just one big yearly program that they give out every year. But usually, and if anybody is listening to this, being an employee, I'm glad that I have the opportunity. Well, usually what I do is if I go up, usually after the national event, I'll go up if I'm cleaning. If I have some downtime, I'll go up to the third floor of the tower and I'll look to see if there's any leftover ladders, qualifying sheets in the media center that we have on the second floor. I'll go into race control, see if they have any paperwork and stuff that, like results, extra copies that they don't need. And whatever's left behind, I usually try to get it before it ends up getting tossed. It's good to have stuff like that. I know Drag Race Central, they do a really good job posting a lot of results from the national events and stuff. But because they only started doing it around 97 or 98 is when Drag Race Central started coming posting the results. But it's really hard to find like the round by round results previous to that. The only way you can look at it is if you have an old copy of National Dragster, which I have several boxes of issues of National Dragster. I'm trying to be like Bob Fry. He's one of the few people I know that has a complete collection where he has over every issue of the National Dragster. So that's something I kind of want to have. So then, even with the National Dragsters and stuff, with us just celebrating the 1,000 Top Fuel event, sometimes some of the records from certain people making passes and the pros, some of them were missing. Unfortunately, a lot of that results, just like a lot of the stuff I collect, a lot of paperwork ends up getting tossed after a national event. So it's really hard to keep track prior to 1998 on who was leaders, who ran such and such in each qualifying session. And so yeah, being a member of Maple Grove, I try to save as many results as I can. Even people think, do I only do it for the nationals? No, absolutely not. Every event that we have at Maple Grove that we do results, I try to save and try to catalog. My goal eventually is to try to create something that I've thought about doing. I've thought about doing a database that I want to eventually make public. I have a lot of 1320 hotlines, which in case anyone out there knows or doesn't know, 1320 hotline is the famed Maple Grove Raceway newspaper that we used to do. The last time we did it was in 2019, right before COVID hit. They used to cover everything from bracket racing all the way to our major events, and those were a really good source of material. My goal is to try to create a database that has every winner from Maple Grove from the day we opened to 62 through the Stauffer family's regime all the way to the Koretsky's till this week. And my goal is to try to preserve, so in case anybody is doing like research or needs a go-to place, if they want something to know about Maple Grove, because that's one thing I can say, and I apologize if I'm going a little off course,
Oh
but
no, you're fine. You're
wait,
fine.
I know I'm real passionate about this stuff, so you hit a really good point right there. Regardless of what sport you follow in racing, whether it's NASCAR, IndyCar, NHRA, even the local hometown heroes or the weekly racers that may not get the recognition that they deserve, and they know they're not going to make a living off of it. They're doing it because they strictly love the love of the sport. Regardless of what form of racing you follow, racing's history is so poorly written. There's little of it. Unfortunately, a lot of newspapers and stuff and a lot of tracks back in the day didn't keep or record their results. even on news on Google News, which is a great site if you want to go on and look on newspapers for old racing results for a certain area, you can find results there. Unfortunately, the biggest thing is you have to do a lot of detective work to try to get the facts true. Unfortunately, myth overtakes fact a lot of times, regardless of what form of history you're doing. Basically, what I can say is it's based what I try to do with results and stuff. It's basically almost like back in the day when you're doing a school project and you go to the library and you're doing this. For example, I'm a big history buff outside of racing. So, say if you were doing a history project on Pearl Harbor, um, every book that you read is going to probably say something worded differently, or there's going to be facts that are going to be different from one another. And that's where you have to really be a big fact checker to try to find out, okay, did this happen or did this not happen? Um, I've had a lot of people on certain groups that have questioned me on some of the stuff that I posted. For those of you that don't have the actual proof in front of you, regarding if it's like paper format. If you say, for example, if you have an event that was televised and you can find it on YouTube, as you know, YouTube is a great source for any hard to find stuff. And thank God a lot of stuff, places have actually digitized their stuff. And you're seeing a lot of more old racing sites posting more of their old races on YouTube. Getting a screenshot if you're watching a televised event and somebody's concerned about, hey, who did Brandon Bernstein, for example, run up against in 2003 at Bristol first round, and that was Josh Starcher. Um, if they don't have a photo of that, if you fast forward to the part in the broadcast and you take a picture of that, I actually did that this year when I was counting down my picks for the 1000th Top Fuel event in Charlotte a couple weeks ago. Yeah, basically it's just people think that it's, to me it's almost like a severe case of a drug addiction and an alcoholic what I do. I know people think that something's not right with me, but it's just an honor just to try to do your part to preserve something that you love. And I've always said this: if you love what you do, it's not necessarily work. I call it a,
You're passionate
yeah.
about what you do.
Oh, absolutely. It's not
Yeah.
me. Warren Johnson said this in his Legends the series episode that Bobby Bennett did on Competition Plus. Anyone that's out there listening, if you love what you do, it's not necessarily work. It's just he calls it an opportunity to succeed, and that's basically what I try to do in everything I've done in life. If even if you're not good at it, just keep trying. And if you get frustrated, don't let yourself get down. There's more lows than there are highs. But other than that, yeah, just be yourself and keep your head up high.
Some days, even doing what I do, that it seems like it'd be a lot more fun to run head on into a wall than do it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's so many things in racing nowadays and with stats and stuff, regardless of what I always say in racing, it's one of the few sports out there where there's something for everyone to fit in. As you know, say for example, if you're trying out for a football team in school, if you're not the fastest person, you're not going to be making the team. In racing, if you're good at, if I always say there's always a place for somebody in racing. Whether you're good at math, mechanical, social media is being a really big thing nowadays. Fortunately, my generation was the one that started it. It does have, people say that social media does have positives and negatives. Mine's mainly been positive because you get to connect with other people and show your passion. There have been times, yeah, unfortunately, I've gotten in disagreements with a few people, but I try to post facts and not anything that's not incorrect. Even a person like me can get stats wrong every once in a while, and if anybody out there tries to correct me, I'll go back and double check it. But yeah, like you said, it's basically a passion for what I do. I've been in this industry 14 years since I started my junior year of ended the junior year of my high school, and which started out as my senior project. I never would have thought I'd accomplish what I've done so far in 14 years, and I don't plan on slowing down.
Very cool. Now, excuse me, 14 years of working in Maple Grove. You've obviously seen a lot of race cars go down the track. Pick out again, I'm gonna give you the one race that stands out in your mind, and you actually said to yourself, I just saw that. I can't believe I just saw that.
Now, for that question, do you want me to go before? Am I allowed to throw in one before I was born, or does it have to be from my time on Earth?
So I want it to be one in your timeline, one that you actually saw yourself.
One that I actually saw myself. That's actually a really good question.
The, the gears are turning.
You actually have me stumped here.
We can always come back to that.
Oh,
How about the coolest thing you've
oh,
seen?
I know. Most probably historic thing that I probably have been a part of Maple Grove since I started working at the track. Um, I actually have two, and they're actually involving sportsman racers. I was one of the few people on there on Monday of the national event, my senior year in 2012, because I started that junior year in the summer, and now we moved to October where the nationals was at the time. So this is my senior year. Um, I would probably have to say the one that really surprised that I was said wow. Um, Frank Manzo scoring his 100th national event win. People's He did it 10 years after John Force became the first NHRA driver to score 100 national event wins in Houston. But to see a sportsman guy who was so dominant for so many years, to secure the 100th national event win. As you know, for people that don't follow sportsman racing, a lot of the drivers that race in the sportsman categories aren't like the professionals where you see them at national event. They pick and choose which national event they go to. But to see a working class person like us score 100 national event wins, that's always something really special. And probably the other historic moment that I would like to say that I was proud to be there for, Vonnie Mills scoring the first female woman to win in top sportsman at an NHRA national event. Up to that time, top sportsman was the only class where a woman had not won at an NHRA national event. And Maple Grove, fortunately, has had really good success with women over the years. As you know, Bunny Burkett and Angel, they both became the first women to win in Top Alcohol Funny Car and Pro Stock Motorcycle at Maple Grove. They did that 10 years apart, with Bunny doing it in 86 and Angel in 96. But to see a three-peat with Vonnie Mills joining the list as the first woman to win in Top Sportsman to go along with her first woman to win in Super Gas, that just explets her spot in drag racing history here in Division One. To be the first woman to win in two different classes, Amy Folks, the only other woman to do that, and to see a woman get that much success in the division, I wouldn't be surprised if she gets in the Division One Hall of Fame soon with those two wins. But yeah, those would probably have to be my two favorite moments at Maple Grove while I was alive. And I know a lot of people out there are going to say, "Oh, what about a professional run that I've seen?" Probably that one would probably have to be Robert Height's 339 that he did in 2017. As you know, we Maple Groves had two 339 passes before the first 340 was made. And a lot of people thought that the 340 was going to happen at Maple Grove. Unfortunately, it didn't. Pomona was able to get that for the NHRA, but Bradenton was the first one to actually do it unofficially. So, as you know, Maple Grove has had a lot of great history, and I was happy to be a part to see those three runs in person.
Very cool. All right. So now you work weekly. You don't just work like special events. You work the bracket racing weekends, the specialty shows, and obviously the divisionals and the national event
But
and the open and the
Dutch.
Dutch. What is your main responsibility on race day?
My main responsibility is basically I'm up in the tower. For those of you thinking, how do I get into a position like I did? I didn't just become join Maple Grove and say, hey, I want to work in the tower the first day. In racing, you work your way up from the bottom. At first I started doing time slips, and then I ended up moving the tech and then learning how to do the staging lanes. I ended up learning those in my first 3 jobs in my first year there. Then I moved for when we have events where drivers pull their chutes. For example, when we had pro mods, the divisional, the Dutch events like that, they moved me to turnaround, which is basically where you roll up the chutes and keep everybody safe down there. And then in 20s, from there, I will also announce from time to time. I'm still the main announcer at Maple Grove Raceway, but lately I've been doing a lot of multitasking with running the timing system and trying to announce at the same time when I can. Then in 2021, at the very end of 2021, a position opened up in race control for running the timing system. And then starting at the very end of 2021, I started learning how to do the timing system. And then by 2023, when the Koretsky's, the first full year that the Koretsky's took over, because they took over partially right as the season began in 2022 during my 60th anniversary season, I became the main announcer in 2023, and I'm still doing announcing when I can. I know it does get hectic doing the timing system and announcing at the same time, but I also help out Trish, our race director, with pulling buys and calling cars to the lanes and keeping things moving. But I always like multitasking. People think it can be hectic at times. It can be at times, and but me and Trish, we have a great system with the two of us being up in the tower, and I'm looking forward to continuing to being there for. I play if I the thing that I want to do is I want to live there, work there until the day I decide to get called up to the man upstairs. So if I have, that's my goal. Is if it doesn't happen in my sleep, I want to have it happen at the track where I'm most happy at.
Very cool, very cool. Now, what do you do in the off season?
Usually, what I do in the off season, I try doing a lot of social media accounts, work on my personal page. Um, my good friend Phil Hutchinson, he works at Drag Racing Action Online. He's a Northeast drag racing magazine. I'm trying to help him out. He's really shorthanded with stuff on his website, so I'm trying to help him out where I can. But the one big thing that I like to do is I like doing social media work during the off season. I like promoting our regular racers. I do a hot seat feature where I try to pick a racer that signed up for points or races there during the week. I try to pick one once a week, and I ask them a series like rapid fire questions. Usually in racing, a lot of people you see the serious side, and you know that not really everyone's so censored nowadays, and being PC. But the most people don't get the opportunity to see like the fun side of the drivers and let them actually like let loose and have fun. So that was the main reason why I decided to try it. I didn't think it was going to be a big run, but I've been doing it pretty steadily. Um, Usually I try if we're not racing during the off season, if we have downtime in between races because our point series now is so spread out, I'll try to pick a racer one by one. I try to do it where I know they're not going to be busy because I know a lot of our regular racers they travel to all the big money races that are in the Northeast and all around the East Coast. So I try to pick and choose a racer that for family members, I try to keep them separate, and I also try to work around with their schedules and trying to pick and choose which one I think would be good. People think, oh, Billy has favorites and stuff. Absolutely not. I do not have favorites. I treat everybody the same, whether you're here for the national event or you're just a person coming out and trying out racing on a Friday night test and tune. I try to treat everybody like rock stars when you come into Maple Grove Raceway, regardless of what racetrack you go to. I know promotion side, that's sort of dying in the sport, and we really need people to promote all of our regular racers, because a lot of people think when you think of a racetrack, you think, oh, they're for like Maple Grove, for example, you think, oh, in this area, oh, you're only open a certain times a year. Absolutely not. We're here in the spring to fall. Now we're in the winter with doing winter series races. We try to be we'll open pretty much almost every weekend during the spring and summer, weather permitting, of course. Um, but yeah, we try to do whatever we can to try to bring more people in, getting exposed to Maple Grove Raceway. And people think, oh, if somebody comes out and they're there for the first time and they post on their Facebook page, hey, what an awesome time we just had at Maple Grove Raceway for our first time out. We'll be coming back. That's a lot of the things that we've heard in the last couple years with the Koretsky's taking over. Um, Towards the end, the Stafford family, I love the Stafford family dearly, but a lot of them ended up getting burned out, and they weren't doing stuff to bring more people into the racetrack. People think that being a racetrack, we should have races that are things that are strictly just for racing. Absolutely not. We're trying to spread our wings as we try to do more stuff, because you think with a racetrack and you have all that property, there's more stuff to do on that property. For like extra stuff like the Lantern Fest. We had Fall Fest, a big country music fest a few years ago, and those were really big events. The Lantern Fest is actually coming up next Saturday and Sunday at Maple Grove Raceway. We're expecting close to 20,000 people there next weekend. That's always a really big event. And we always try to do more things to get word out about Maple Grove, because if you look in the Pennsylvania area, especially with the Reading area, people, when they think of racing in Reading, they're going to think of the fairgrounds, Penske Racing, and they're going to think of Maple Grove Raceway. So we're going to do whatever we can to try to preserve and create more history here in the Reading area.
Very cool. Very cool. Now, wow, you got me on that one. Um, who was the coolest person that you ever had the chance to sit down and talk with, even for just a couple minutes?
Coolest person that I ever had the opportunity to talk with. Um, Good question. Believe it or not, you're going to be shocked to hear this. It actually didn't happen at Maple Grove Raceway. It actually happened at one of the other historic racetracks here in the state of PA, Pocono Raceway, the famed Tricky Triangle. For those
Yep.
for those of you that do not know, not only do as everyone knows, think that, oh, I only follow drag racing and stuff. I follow NASCAR, I follow IndyCar, I follow USAC, all the local stuff. Speaking of that, it's good that you had me on this week as we get ready for racing's biggest weekend. Usually when something new that I'm going to do tomorrow, when I'm going to call it International Motorsports Day, where I'm going to be celebrating racing. People think, why would I pick the Wednesday to do it? I said, well, leading into racing's biggest weekend, because you think we have the Monaco race, the Indy 500, 600, plus every track around here, regardless of form of racing, is going to have something special going on this weekend. And one thing I can tell you, Chris, for sure, Maple Grove Raceway this weekend is going to have the quickest cars in the planet racing this weekend, because let's think, you have 280 mile per hour alcohol dragsters and funny cars. Indy cars only go 230. NASCAR only goes like 180 at Charlotte. So we definitely have title to the world's fastest cars this weekend.
We
But
we need to get you and Tasca together and debate that one.
oh yeah, absolutely. And but
Uh,
I must say the most coolest person that I actually had the opportunity to meet, there's actually two. The first one was at Pocono in 2016 on the Monday after the IndyCar race, because that race got postponed due to rain. Um, Everyone was cleaning up and stuff, and I was just hanging out until the traffic died down with my sister-in-law and my dad. And we went into the infield by the garages, because after racing was over, as you know, they're kind of like loose and let anybody come in at that point, because they figured, well, race is done, we're all cleaning up. I had an opportunity to talk to Rick Mears, the famed four-time Indy 500
Oh,
champ.
very cool.
Me and him were talking a little bit. I what I really liked about Rick Mears is you think with somebody that has accomplished what he's accomplished in IndyCar racing, 4 Indy 500 championships, a couple IndyCar championships as well. You think he'd be cocky? He was extremely down to earth. I really enjoyed talking to him about his Indy 500, all of his Indy 500 wins, and I even asked him, out of the four, which one did you prefer? And he said usually each one was after the first one. He said each one after that is nothing can top it. But personally, my favorite Rick Mears moment was when he came back from a lap down in '88 and ended up winning. And so that was probably my favorite moment. My second coolest moment was talking to Erica Enders after she won at Maple Grove a couple years ago. Me and her talked a little bit about everything she's accomplished in juniors. Because I grew up watching people around your age, when they think of racing movies and women in motorsports, they grew up with Shirley Muldowney. Well, my generation, we grew up with Erica Enders because when I was in second grade is when Disney Channel's Right on Track came out.
Yep.
This day, it's still one of the most watched Disney Channel movies that came out on Disney Channel. And I told a lot of people in school, because I was in second grade at the time, a lot of kids that didn't know drag racing or knew nothing about it ended up watching it, and they said that it was one of the best Disney Channel movies that they've seen. So those two probably really stand out. But mainly, I really enjoy. I also had the opportunity. If I can throw a third one there, I promise I'll shut up after
Oh, go
this.
ahead. Go ahead.
Usually after I was done with an event, if we brought in an announcer in, I would usually talk to them. But usually I've met a lot of great people um at the end of an event. Alan Reinhardt, I've had many great opportunities to talk with him after the divisional when he was there at Maple Grove when we invited him. He's a really good guy, and he gave me a lot of pointers about announcing, and I'm always thankful for Alan Reinhardt for giving me pointers and giving me an opportunity to fill in for him at the Night of Chaos. And also another personal chat that I had was in 2023, a couple years ago. Kenny Labansky, he's a little bit older than me. He is, for those of you that follow NHRA, when the pros are running, he is the one that starts the pro course from Top Fuel down to Pro Mod. Me and him, we hit it off right away after we started talking on Monday after we were done. He was helping clean up, but I was taking a picture on the starting line because usually what I do is after a national event, I'll take a photo saying, oh, like a recap, saying like 4 days of racing and seeing everybody. It's good to see everybody again. I was walking up to the top of the staging lanes and he was walking down, and we started talking about English Town because that's where he grew up at. And as we were talking, because he's a big drag racing historian out there as well. So Kenny, if you're happy to be listening, I hope to get you on here one day so me and you can have a one-on-one conversation about drag racing history. Me and him ended up talking, and we didn't know it at the time. But
Sorry, I had to throw something at my cat. She wouldn't shut up.
don't worry, I have cats too. I love cats. So as I was saying, me and Kenny, we were talking, and Alex from Auto Imagery. For those of you that are familiar with Auto Imagery, the best drag racing photos out there on the web, Richard shoots and Alex, they all do a good job. Me and him were talking, and we didn't know, but Alex was behind there taking pictures, and two of the photos of me and him talking together actually made it on Auto Imagery's website. So people always say racing isn't about the cars and the racing and all the drama and stuff like that. Racing's about all the people that you meet, and that's what makes racing different from so many other sports. Is the cast of characters that you're going to meet, regardless of whether you follow racing at the local level all the way to the national and international level. Racing is made up of core of characters, and they either last for a short time or last forever. And I'm very fortunate to be taught by so many great people in the sport. become friends with so many good people. I never take that for granted. Most people, they think if they've been in the when they get titles and stuff like that, they get real cocky and stuff like that and forget where they've come from. I'm not like that. I still go to the same restaurants that I went to when I was a kid. I still hang out with family and friends. I still chit chat with all the friends that I've had in high school. So I'm just one of those people where I stay humble, and I'm not one of those cocky people that unfortunately there's a lot of egos in racing, and I try to stay away from getting into that era, but I just try to be who I am and always stay humble.
Very cool. All right, so let's get to Maple Grove. What is happening at Maple Grove this year? You have an event coming up this weekend.
Yep, absolutely. For Kyle Koretsky and Shane and everyone from Maple Grove, if you happen to be watching, in case you can see, I had to throw that in free advertising for you guys. This weekend is our NH and also that as well. So we need to give you an updated logo, Chris, so we can have it currently up to date with the new one that we have. But
Absolutely. Send it to me
I
when
do
you get
like
time.
I do like the old one though that we had for our 50th. This weekend, the stars of the NHRA Lucas Oil Drag Racing Series will be at Maple Grove Raceway as they kick off the NHRA Northeast Division One season. Parking will take place tomorrow morning. For those of you that are on Facebook, parking is going to start early in the morning, but everyone's going to be asked to stay on the paved area. Most of you may not be aware, but we do have weather coming Wednesday and Wednesday. So we're going to try to keep everybody off of the paved, off of the grass area, so no one doesn't get stuck. Unfortunately, people that have been at Maple Grove Raceway through all the rainy years at the Nationals know, unfortunately, some of the areas at our track can get real treachery when we get a lot of heavy rain. But yeah, this weekend's on Lucas Oil Drag Racing Series. We're going to have everything from alcohol dragster all the way down to top sportsman, top dragster. The future of the sport and the future of today, as I like to call them, along with the NHRA Junior Dragster Series, they're going to be there as well. Also, Saturday night, Maple Grove is going to be the place to be as we have our third annual Night of Chaos. Unfortunately, last year we fell victim to racing's dreaded four-letter word. So hopefully, in case you didn't hear that, knock on wood, we don't get any rain this on Saturday. We're gonna have a great event plan for you guys on Saturday. We'll be having the alcohol cars doing their eliminations. We're also going to be having the 850 Index cars, the Northeast Index Series. That's a real popular local series with some really great fast bracket racing from 850 down to 1250, along with that's always a really good series. And also, for those of you that love exhibition cars, we're going to be having two exhibition jet dragsters, Dawn Purdue and the Wicked Sensation. She's a real popular driver here at Maple Grove Raceway. She actually just celebrated a birthday a couple of days ago. So if you happen to be watching, Dawn, happy belated birthday. I did send you a birthday thing on my Facebook page. Her partner Neil Esposito, they're gonna be there putting on some great fire breathing 300-mile-per-hour passes in their jet dragsters. And to wrap up the show on Saturday night, we're gonna have the Bone Shaker jet truck. It's been since 2018 at the Super Chevy show that we've had a jet truck at Maple Grove Raceway. And also to cap it off, as soon as the jet truck makes its final pass on Saturday night, we're going to be lighting up the sky with a great fireworks display. More information can be found at maplegroveraceway.com and on our Facebook page, along with NHRA Northeast Division 1's Facebook page. For any updates and schedule changes that may take place, follow those two websites. And we look forward for everyone to spending racing's biggest weekend with us here at Maple Grove Raceway. I'm always looking forward to when the NHRA Division 1 team comes to Maple Grove Raceway. We try to get them. We would love to have them more. As you know, the last couple of years we've had two regional events due to some weather issues and tracks closing. We really love the alcohol cars, and we love having the NHRA Division 1 staff at Maple Grove.
Very cool. Now, Maple Grove has one of the longest running national events as well.
This year, we will be celebrating our 40th anniversary of the national event. That started in 1985. We've had it every year except for one, which was in 2020, which was due to COVID. And for those of you that are history buffs like me, or history geeks as I like to say, even though I'm not proud to say I'm a geek, but I am proud to say that I'm a drag racing geek. So if there's a picture of a drag racing geek in the dictionary, it's yours truly. As you know, Maple Grove Raceway has been home to some of the historic moments in NHRA national event history, from the first side-by-side 4-second 300-mile-per-hour top fuel passes to 3 women picking up first national event wins in 3 different classes. Um, that's just a tip of the iceberg that we'll be celebrating this year for the 40th anniversary event in September. Another big thing that happened at Maple Grove outside of the national event was in '90 when we did the benefit softball game between the NHRA and the NASCAR team. That benefited Daryl Gwynn. But yeah, this year is going to be a great year as we celebrate 40 years of history at Maple Grove. Not only do we have the national event, we also have a lot of great import races at Maple Grove. As you know, the Philadelphia, New Jersey, New York area will smack dab right in between them, along with Baltimore, Pittsburgh, and Washington, D.C. We're in a 3-hour driving distance from 5 major cities in America, so that's always good that we get such a great influx of people. The import events are really big at Maple Grove Raceway, with the biggest one being the Pan Am. That takes place in July. And then we also have a nostalgia event, the Geezers at the Grill. That's always a much look forward to event. And also another one of our long-standing races is the Super Chevy Show. For all of you Chevy lovers out there, that's always been one of the biggest Super Chevy events in the country. Back in the early 2000s with the car show and the race century, this isn't exaggeration. I tell you this, we've had over 2,000 people participate in Super Chevy, from car show to the race centuries. And
Wow.
don't forget, we always have our weekly bracket racing, as I call the hometown heroes. Basically, we try to cater to everybody. And plus, the week after the Nationals, we have our big diesel truck and Nationals. That's always a real big event. So we try to open Maple Grove Raceway up to basically whatever you think of drag racing wise. We try to have it.
Very cool. Yeah, you guys have a really great program, you know. And it's funny because one of the first things that most people talk about when they talk about, okay, well, we're going to the divisional, we're going to the national event, we're going to the Dutch, whatever, is the fast times that that track brings out on cars.
Oh, absolutely. You think because we're in the middle of all them trees and stuff, that's permitting oxygen and stuff. And as you know, come September time, when the temperature starts to cool, and we start to get in that cool down period where we go from summer to fall. Um, that's when a lot of racers, when you go to Indy, and they'll go into Maple Grove the following weekend, the next event, which is 2 weeks after Indy. If you talk to them and they say that when you're from Maple Grove, a lot of the racers, regardless from the sportsman series all the way to the pros, after Indy, if they're going to Maple Grove, they're going to say, we look forward to getting to your place because we don't know what the weather forecast is going to be. But if the weather forecast is going to be fast, we look forward to coming there. Back in 2015, we extended the track, the concrete pad from the 770-foot mark down to the quarter-mile mark. We're one of the few NHRA tracks in the country that is all concrete. Billy Meyer can be credited for that, for starting that back in '86 when he built the Texas Motorplex. That was the first all concrete racing facility that was built. And that track will also be celebrating its 40th anniversary event a couple weeks after us. Definitely a lot of positivity with anniversary races going on right now. We just had one in Chicago this past week, and they celebrate their 25th. But everybody's looking forward to next year being the 75th anniversary of the NHRA. And as Steve mentioned, you guys mentioned last week with Steve when he was on, for any business to make it 75 years, that's an accomplishment, and it just proves that, because you look at drag racing for 130 years and you look at all the series and stuff that unfortunately have gone by the wayside, and you notice that one is still around, and that's the NHRA. So obviously NHRA is doing something right, and we look forward to continuing our relationship with the NHRA as we celebrate 75 years with them next year. And who knows what we're going to be accomplishing in those next 25 years as we get ready for the 100th anniversary in 2051.
Absolutely. And I mean, especially just to alone in the last 5 years with what the universe has thrown at everybody, for nobody to just raise the flag and say, that's it, we're done.
Hmm.
It's pretty impressive.
Oh yeah, absolutely. A lot of people think that a lot of things were ruined when COVID hit. That I cannot say has affected drag racing at all. You look at all the tracks that are opening up and all the positivity that's going on right now. Um, Prior to the Fox commitment, when we were with ESPN, they were really struggling, coming with an image and having attendance issues at a lot of national events. But we've had a lot of great sellouts over the last several years, regardless of what track you go to. A lot of tracks have been selling out. I know NHRA's marketing team, when they come to town, they've been really focusing on trying to create word about the NHRA and to come out and give us a try. You think about it, Saturday of Maple Grove. We've sold the place out every Saturday for the last couple of years since the Koretsky's took over. And when you think of all the tracks that are going on right now, a lot of people are saying, "Oh, there's drag racing's going downhill. Drag racing's dying. Nobody's following it, or tracks are closing everywhere." I remember when there used to be a drag race in every corner, every street. Right now, we're right around 440 active tracks. That's slightly down from the all-time high of 467, which was set in 2019. And anytime since 1950, there's been at least 380 active tracks that have been going since the late 50s. There's been at least 380 active tracks that have been going on, that have been in operation since then. So when you take 440, Chris, and you divided that up by 50 states, that's an incredible amount of drag strips that are opening right now.
Oh, absolutely.
And I can
Yeah.
think, for those of you that are wondering, Brett Kepner was the one that provided those stats. Shout out to Brett Kepner, drag racing's all-time leading historian. Like I said, there's a lot of positivity going in right now, and if you ask me, I think, with what's going on right now with Fox, as you mentioned earlier about the debate with Tasca and IndyCar, with Fox now having the contracts for both NASCAR, IndyCar, and NHRA, that's going to open up a lot of opportunities for a lot of racers, fans in NASCAR and IndyCar. Say if our events lead into one of those events, that's going to open up the opportunity for more fans and get more word out about us. If you actually ask me, I think the marketing that Fox has done for IndyCar has been pretty good. And actually, with NHRA, kind of counteracting that with Speed Matters, sort of dictating the speed that Fox was promoting with the IndyCar this season, with them saying that they're the fastest.
Sorry, I'm getting invaded.
Oh, don't worry. My sister's been texting
Yeah.
about our outdoor cat. Hi, kitty. I do love cats. So like I said, with what happened between Fox and IndyCar and NHRA, with them sort of going back and forth between who has the fastest series in racing. There's no denying, especially with the 340-mile-per-hour top fuel pass that Brittany did at Charlotte about a month or so ago. There's no denying that NHRA is the fastest form of motorsports outside of, say, maybe land speed wrecking.
Right, exactly.
Land speed wrecking and those racers that participate in the Reno airplane races. Shout out to those guys. Like I said, with what's going on right now with everything that NHRA is trying to do, we've had several sellouts at a lot of events the last couple of years. As I mentioned earlier, next year is the 75th anniversary season. It's just going to be interesting to see what's going to happen between now and then the next 25 years in the future, to see where NHRA is going to go and what can be accomplished within those next 25 years before we celebrate 100 years of NHRA, hopefully in 2051.
Absolutely. Well, very cool, Billy. You're a knowledgeable young man, my friend.
Thank you very much, Chris. I appreciate that, and I appreciate the kind words. As you know, even people like me occasionally get stuff screwed up every once in a while. And that's how, as the saying goes, that's how you learn from your mistakes. I'm going to keep digging until they put the casket on me. And on stopping anytime soon.
Awesome. Well, Billy, as always, it's a good time to talk to you. It's an educational experience talking to you. And, obviously the best of luck not only to you, but to the Koretsky's and to everybody at the Grove for a successful summer of 2025.
Anytime, Chris. Thank you so much for having me on. We look forward to seeing you pay a visit with us. Hopefully the rain has passed and we get no more rain the rest of the season. I'm going to knock on wood on that. But if I bring any bad luck to all the racers that are listening, if I bring you guys any,
I'll give you all Billy's phone number.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'll probably be on the FBI most wanted list. My picture will be on billboards and stuff like that if I curse it. But like I said,
Yeah,
thank you so much for having me on. I look forward to coming back on here again. We look forward to seeing you at Maple Grove Raceway in the near future. And thank you again for having me on.
you're very welcome, Billy. I hope you have a great night. And again, best of luck in 2025, my friend.
Thank you so much, Chris. Thank you again.
You're welcome. Have a good night, Billy.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. That is our episode of Racers News Network Live with our buddy Billy Kleinsphen from Maple Grove Dragway. If you ever have any questions about stats to do with not only drag racing, but IndyCar, NASCAR, whatever, any type of motorsport, he is the man to go to because if he doesn't know it, he will find it out. So check out Billy on Facebook, check out Maple Grove on Facebook and on the internet. And I hope everybody has a great night. For those of you that are headed to the divisional event at Maple Grove this weekend, best of luck. And one more question, actually, Billy, before you take off. Oh boy. Hold on. I gotta get my notebook so I don't forget. So as you know, we do the guessing game for the correct number of entries for every divisional event in NHRA Division One. For us, it's presented by Mass Traction.
Mhm.
And Mass Traction is back with us again this year. So last week we had the Division One coordinator, Steve Rhodes, on with us, and we gave him the chance to make the very first guess of what the car count will be for this weekend's divisional event at Maple Grove. Now, you're not going to be number two, but we're going to give you the chance. What's your guess for car count this weekend? It includes juniors as well.
Well, hopefully, if the weather doesn't chase anybody away with it being cool this weekend, I wouldn't be surprised to see over 600 race cars there. I'm going to go around 650. I'm going to say around 650 cars are going to be there, bearing any weather issues. But if the weather plays a havoc, I see us getting close to 400. But I'm sticking with 650 for sunny. And if it rains, I'll say around 450.
I'll give you the benefit of the doubt and I'll put both of them in. So that's sunny.
Yeah.
And then rain, what did you say,
450.
450?
Yep.
All right.
Because there's
You're
been
in.
because there has been times where the weather's been real good at this event, and we've had over 600 cars there. So hopefully, like I said, the rain holds off and we get to that 650 car count.
That's a hell of a lot of cars to get down the track.
Oh, yeah. Oh yeah, you'd be surprised. There's been times already back in the day when we had the national event back in the day before they started putting the quotas and stuff in and they started limiting who could get in for each of the sportsman classes. It wasn't uncommon for the national event back in the day to have over 600 sportsman cars and with the pros having close to 700 cars on property.
I remember I told Pete and Steve this last weekend. Obviously, I'm a lot older than you, So I grew up in the WWCS era,
Yeah.
the Winston World Championship Series at New England Dragway. And I can vividly remember the only lanes that were really wide open was staging lanes and about maybe 300 to 500 feet beyond staging. There were cars everywhere.
Oh, absolutely. Back in the day, it wasn't uncommon, even at a divisional event, to have close to 700 race cars. As you know, a lot of the cars were still around. Most of them were in barns and stuff. But even though the times have changed and the sport has gone through so many changes, you'll notice that when it comes to the Lucas Oil Drag Racing Series, regardless of which division you have, they're pulling in really big car counts and stuff at the regional level, and that's just a testament to prove how strong NHRA's sportsman programs are right now. Because you think you have the NHRA Lucas Oil Drag Racing Series, you have the Summit ET series, you have the Junior Dragster series presented by Right On Trailers and Summit. NHRA is doing a really good job the last couple of years of promoting the sportsman race. In Maple Grove, when we had the national event, for a couple years, we did a thing called the Super 64, which gave our bracket racers in our Sunoco ET series a chance to compete for an additional prize in front of the crowds at the Nationals. So any way that the sportsman racers can get recognition, NHRA is doing a really good job. As you know, they have the Summit ET National Championship out in Vegas, which has been a really big hit the last couple years. You also have the Western and the Eastern Conference Finals for the junior dragster programs. I must say, sportsman drag racing is definitely the backbone of drag racing, and I only see nothing but a positive future for all the sportsman programs in NHRA.
Very cool. All right, Billy, thank you again for coming on. Appreciate it. Like I said, if anybody has questions about stats or anything else to do with racing, hit up Billy on Facebook.
Anytime, Chris. Thank you so much again for having me on. Looking forward to being back on again.
All right, buddy. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.
Thank you, Chris. See ya.
All right. All right, everybody. Like I said, we are officially out of here. We'll be back next Tuesday night talking some more junior dragster action. Until then, take care, everybody. Stay safe. Like I said, if you're heading to Maple Grove this weekend, best of luck and be safe. We'll see you all later.